Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's May 8th, 2019. I'm out on the western side of the first food forest. Behind me is Pond 5. Pond 5 is the pond that we've spent quite a bit of videos talking about sealing up the pond because it's up against a stone wall. It's all gravel base. And so we've been sealing that over the last few years, gradually, bit by bit. Pond 5 then goes through a spillway directly behind me here and goes down a drainage swale, and that leads to Pond 6. This drainage swale, I apologize for the high winds, I'm having a hard time recording a video today. But this drainage swale, because we have a gravel base and because this area over here where the Almond food forest extension is all gravel, and it's going to have wood chip mulch all through the surface of it, like a back to Eden, really thick wood chip mulch in between all of these berms that we created. That water is going to work, and the nutrients from this water is going to work its way down and feed this part of the food forest. Really important for us to utilize the natural resources and to keep them from exiting the property just because of the slope of the land and going into the neighbor's property. So we have all of this high nutrients, whether it's composted areas in our gardens or the wood mulches areas or the places where the high tunnels are going. All of these nutrients that are getting watered regularly, either through the rain or through our own irrigation systems. We don't want these non-point sources of pollution to leave the property. We don't want the water to leave the property. We want to facilitate its reuse over and over again on our property by creating the more desirable flow paths for these nutrients. So in the last video, we talked about harvesting soil from spillways, drainage swales, and that sort of thing. And I've done a lot more work on this drainage swale, which I'll hopefully show you some footage of this. But we've taken that soil and we created these mounds where we've subsequently planted some more bare root Hall's Hardy almond trees that we got from Stark Brothers Nursery. Really nice nursery. We're not sponsored by them in any way, don't receive any benefits, but certainly they do produce some really nice trees with a good warranty as well. So we took that soil that we harvested in the last video, and I'll put a link to that video in the upper right hand corner. Hank, please. So we took that soil, we created these berms, we planted the bare root almond trees in it. I went over into the first food forest over here, and there's high bush natural seeded blueberries that I had, blueberry bushes that I had transplanted over into the first food forest. I planted them so densely that they're crowding each other out somewhat. So I took Bumblebee, the mini excavator, went over, dug some of them up, brought them over here, pruned back the roots quite a bit, pruned back the tops quite a bit, and stuck those in between each of the Hall's Hardy almond trees. So we have about 19 or 20 Hall's Hardy almond trees at this point. We have a couple other peach, plum, and apple trees over here, but it's mostly an almond tree area. There are a couple of almond trees that you may be able to see in the background with some pink flowers that are opening up at this time. Unfortunately, there aren't any bees around. This is a very unusual. Last year was bad, this year is worse. Our hives absconded, or they disappeared in the end of the fall last season, similar to what happened last year. But this spring we see hardly any mason bees. We see only a few bumblebees, but no honeybees around at all. And under normal circumstances, I've never seen us be without, you know, hundreds, since the dandelions are opening up now. Usually there's hundreds of honeybees all over those dandelions, and I haven't seen one yet this season. It is, since we've raised bees here and been stewards for honeybees, there'd usually be many thousands of honeybees on the dandelions, but you know, I'm not sure what's going on, whether it's a colony collapsing disorder or something else with pesticides being sprayed. But unfortunately, we have a dearth of bees. And that's going to affect all our food production for all the pollinators, especially since the mason bees aren't around. Well, anyways, we got the mounds in, we got the interplanting of the blueberry bushes. I'll be moving some lemon balm, some oregano, many other plants over into these areas that I've got a few extra of as well. In the future, we'll be moving some of the hardwood cuttings from our goji berries, our gooseberries, and a whole variety, not goji berries, I'm sorry, currants and gooseberries, and some of the other berry bushes, the elderberries as well, moving all of those over into this area and creating various layers of our food forest that will help to support the almond trees that are in this area. I will be doing an update on the first food forest hopefully this week, giving an idea, because we got lots of flowers opening up over there with the peaches and nectarines and some of the early plums and a few of the early apples. Just no insects to help do the pollinating yet, so hopefully things will work out. The almond trees, the 3 larger almond trees, the Hall's Hardy almond trees, which have done pretty well here. We did have an incident a couple of years ago, which I posted a video. I'll put a link to it in the upper right hand corner, where we had deer browse, and they did quite a bit of damage in the first food forest and over here to the almond trees. We had 3 of those ones survive, and I hadn't pruned them appropriately either, because I just wanted to let them go and see how they would do. In hindsight, I probably should have gotten more aggressive, even though deer browse had happened, and really pruned them back so that I could get the 3 or 4 main branches coming out, get more of an open vase as well. But we have some lack of bridging of the bark, where some of the branches, the angle is too narrow, too low a degree of angles, and therefore the bark gets embedded in between the 2 limbs, and that creates more of a challenge, especially in the high wind zones that we live here. And there's no doubt that those trees will split if I don't prune them appropriately. So that's one of the things I'll be doing as well. So what I'll do is there'll be a little bit of GoPro footage showing a little bit up close of some of the almond trees, the bare root almonds and the large almonds and the blueberry bushes, and there may be some GoPro footage of me actually moving the blueberry bushes over here as well, bit by bit. So if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If any of you are having issues with the bumblebees, we live in Oswego, New York, Zone 5A. I've never seen it this bad. With the last few years, it's gotten worse each season with the honeybees missing, but this year the mason bees being way down and the bumblebees, that's very, very concerning to me. So if you found this video of value, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and by all means, folks, have a great day. Bye-bye now.